We are Gathering of the Geeks, podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag We Gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one with too much hype, too early. I'm one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso to my coach Beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how's it going on this fine Sunday evening?
It's going. How are you?
Mm-hmm. I'm doing well. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you find folks get your podcasts. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. Hello to Eric, Cookie, and Phil, our main peeps. We got our main peeps here with us. How's everybody's Sunday? How was everybody's week? Chris, what's your the three of us, me, you, and Zeddy, watched Backlash last night, and before you came on, Zeddy and I were joking that you were gonna have some fancy, bubble tea or boba tea or whatever it is, Starbucks or whatever. What's your policy on water though? Like a nice glass of cold water, is that refreshing to you? For me, nothing beats a nice glass of cold milk. What's your like a cold, like super cold glass of milk? What's your policy on thirst quenching drinks?
Not milk, because I'm fairly lactose intolerant, so I'll die.
I got that no good. Let's not have that. Okay.
No, I still do it though. It is what it is. No, I like water. It's primarily what I drink when I feel like being healthy. But in those times where I do not care, I drink whatever's around me, except soda. I really don't do sodas. So mostly like iced teas or pink drinks from Starbucks.
Yeah, that water, that's my secret I'm being healthy drink. Right? Like, look at me with this nice glass of water. I can eat whatever I want now.
Exactly, because you cut out the calories. So it's like, hey, I could do this.
Yeah.
But that's only when I'm feeling healthy, which I have not been lately. So
yeah. So screw it.
Right, basically, yes. Like tonight we have an exquisite iced tea from the Waffle House. So we just
Waffle House has a nice iced tea, do they?
They don't, but it's there. So.
You guys have ginger ale down there? You guys have ginger ale?
Actually, we have a brand called Canada Dry ginger ale.
Oh, you guys have Canada Dry. I wasn't sure if you guys just had Schweppes.
I didn't think you guys would have Canada Dry.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys just call it dry over there? Or?
No. Gingered ale. That's what we call it.
Okay. Now, we have.
Do you have Schweppes too, or is Schweppes maybe? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we do. But I like Canada Dry myself.
I wonder how Canadian Canada Dry is. I bet you it's not that Canadian.
Do you guys have the clearly Canadian sparkling waters?
No. See, you sent me that I feel like that was almost 6 months ago or something.
Really?
And it's I think that's in the city, in Toronto, but it's not up here. I think it's like made in Canada, but we sell it to you foreigners or whatever, right?
Yeah, I guess. It's pretty good. I like it.
Ooh, Lauren doesn't like Schweppes. Yeah, see, I don't like Schweppes either. Yeah, Canada Dry. That's the place to be.
Is anyone having a problem with the stream?
We're clearly talking about the most important things ever, so make sure you don't miss the first 5 minutes of Gathering of the Geeks on Sundays.
I think our choices of drink are important.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, I guess I never noticed. I usually have something fun. But.
Yeah, I just started working at a brewery within the last month, and it's like I drink so much beer now. It's like I need that water like every once in a while. It's like, can I get a beer and a water? Just to balance it out.
I can see that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I usually just drink the beer till I'm dehydrated and then make up for it later.
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to cut off right away. Trying to get the water first.
We got 2 votes for Canada Dry, or as you call it, just dry.
Yeah, I love that dry stuff.
Yeah, just dry ale, please.
Yeah. Wait, so do you guys call it Canada Dry, or do you call it ginger ale? Like, do you say, "Can I get a Canada Dry"? Or do you say ginger ale?
But then, they might specify, well, we have this brand. And then it's like, well, I don't want that one.
Right. Because there's always a weird thing about soda and pop, I think, for Americans, right? What is pop?
There is. Depending on the region you live in, pop means soda. And generally, I think a pop is a Coke.
Coke, that's right.
But also in some areas, just saying Coke means soda.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah, it's kind of like the corn dog, corny dog.
What's a corny dog?
It's the same corn dog. It's just some people call it a corny
Oh,
dog.
I gotcha.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
so we say pop up here. We're pop, and that's like every flavor is a pop. So we'd have to say, can I get a like an well? I guess we could say, or we say orange soda or a Sprite, but
do you know who
I
loves
guess you
orange
just say
soda?
like I like pop. Oh, I used to, after high school, a bag of Doritos and again a big jug of orange pop. Man, I was glowing like Mr. Burns in that Simpsons episode.
What else were you consuming to get the large bag of Doritos and these giant orange soda?
Nothing. I was like 300.
Okay,
I was like 200. I was like 250 pounds in high school.
gotcha.
Just humongous.
The one where Emmet accepts Eddie's relationship.
Just skip right over that garbage. Just ignore it. And
All
see
right,
if
all right.
I'm trying the ignoring thing. It's not working. It's like a dog at my heels. I'm just trying to ignore it.
Well, balance is everything, Emmet. I agree with Phil.
I agree with you there.
Yeah. UK calls it ginger beer. Okay, I thought ginger beer was something else.
Yeah, see, we have that. We have ginger beer. It's not beer and it's not ginger ale. I don't know what it is, but we have ginger beer as well.
Yeah, soda is what I call, of course. It's soda, and in New York, no one under the age of 80 says pop. Yeah, my brother says pop, and I'm like, what are you doing? What does that even mean these days?
Yeah, well, I guess it's like soda pop, right? And like
that's where it comes from.
Different parts of the world just picked whichever one it is.
And then certain parts, like I said, just call it Coke.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's fun.
There we go. All right, Chris, what'd you get up to this week? Did you read anything? Did you watch anything?
I watched a few things. I read a few things. Let's start with the reads, though. I caught up with a little bit with Batman, the Zdarsky book, or his version of it. And I got to say, that was a nice surprise. You and I had talked about the first issue of this arc months ago. And we were kind of on the same page. Like, this is something we've seen before. Yeah. We don't know if we need this, but it's entertaining. I didn't read another issue after that. I was like, I'll get to it later.
Me either.
Yeah, I'll get to it later. So that's what I did. And it is so good. For it being a multiverse story and with Batman of all characters, it's such a good time. And the art is flawless. It's just a really surprising book. I enjoyed it a lot. And I'm kind of curious where Zdarsky goes from here. Because there's some weird stuff in it.
I would agree with that. And I was like you. I read that first issue where, Bruce goes to another universe or another dimension at the end of the failsafe run.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, and like there was like Jim Gordon is a skeleton and he's smoking a pipe in this version, and I don't know what that was. And there was an Alfred in this one, and like, and failsafe was okay to me, okay. And when we got into this second arc of Zdarsky, I'm like, and at that point we were both reading Detective at the same time. And just felt like, oh man, this Batman stuff is just dragging. It's not hitting. So then I hadn't read it at all. And then, I guess this issue 135 overall, I think it's issue 900 of Batman came out. And everyone was talking about it. And I didn't see any spoilers about it. You would talked about it, and I hadn't read it. I read it last night after we finished watching Backlash. And it surprised the hell out of me. I'm like, first of all, why is there, multiverses going in here? And, one of the age... or one of the things people complain about with Batman a lot of the time, specifically in the Zack Snyder stuff, is Batman against gods, or Batman, doing extraterrestrial stuff, not doing just ground level stuff. And this is something that I was surprised about with Zdarsky, where he was going with this issue. I was completely surprised with this, multiverse stuff and the extra Batman and how it worked, how much it worked, because. There's one specific line in the entire issue, and it's that thing about a world without monsters, or a world without Batman is still a world with monsters. I'm like, oh, that's why this works, because this is Batman. That's what works. So it can go crazy. It can do all this wild and crazy things. He can go see. I don't want to do too many spoilers, but he can go see other Batman and go to different universes and all this kind of stuff. But he's still that line is still 100% Batman, and that's why it worked for me, even with all the craziness.
Well, I like that it also answers kind of the age-old question, or it adds to the debate of would Gotham still be nuts if Batman didn't exist? And we have the answer, yes, it would be. Which I love that concept and the question of it, because it's always a good one to ask and to explore. Because generally in the comics timelines, the freak kind of villains do come after his arrival.
Right.
Before that, it's mobs and mobsters and things like that. So it's always a fun question to ask and to explore, and I like the way that Zdarsky handled it here. So I recommend the book. The rest of the arc I got to get to. I got to read in between to see how we got here, but that's the thing about 135. You don't really.
That's the thing. Like I didn't know who this person with the red thing was.
I knew who he was.
Like why he was like trying to create a Joker or something. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And that's even more interesting about it, not knowing what led up to this, and it still worked somehow, which is just a good book. Thing. Yeah, just good. Just good
one. I read that. That was pretty good. But the highlight, of course, was the finale to Where Monsters Lie. That one. So the thing about Where Monsters Lie is, and much like a lot of the other books I like that are indie, it doesn't feel like just a comic book. It feels like something more. It's more, it's also simplistic, but something about it it's big. The scale of it is large, and it just doesn't feel like you're reading a basic story. And so, with that in mind, the finale to Where Monsters Lie feels like the finale to a film. It feels like you're watching the final act or whatever.
Right.
And I really, really like that aspect of it. The ending itself, like the very end of it, I'm a little iffy on. I didn't love it. Most of it stuck the landing, so I'm still happy. But the end of it, just like, oh, well, that is convenient, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like just a nice little bow on there. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed More Monsters Lie. I think it was number 4, right?
Yeah, the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time. It's nuts. It's just a weird book that shouldn't have worked, and it does. And I can't wait to see if there's a sequel to it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Yeah, that's right. It's tough that the first 3 issues were such a surprise, or the first issue was such a surprise, and then issues 2 and 3 were just so crazy, like just ridiculous amounts of death and the types of death and the characters and all that kind of stuff. So I agree that number 4 was good. The ending was a little funky. I hope there's a next one just to see some different characters. I wonder if we can get some more monsters or more serial killers or
maybe some more supernatural stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Like give me like the equivalent of a Michael Myers or a Freddy. If we get something like that going, that'd be cool. Or the Leprechaun. I would like to see the Leprechaun. Ian says read issue 2 of Hairball yesterday. Really enjoying that book. What is Hairball? I've seen people talk about it, but I don't know. Also caught up on the new Alien. Great art and a nice setup for a new Xenomorph story. I've heard great things about Alien.
Hairball.
Chris from Lost
Supernatural Nightmare.
Everlasting Love, which is a fun read. I read the first 2 of that. I actually liked it a lot, but I didn't keep up with it. What else did you guys read this week?
The Hairball says a young girl with a black cat begins to suspect the innocuous beast is behind all her troubles, her parents fighting, family plagues, and supernatural horrors. As she tries her best to rid herself of this creature, she discovers that maybe the cat is not evil after all, and a greater terror may be behind these horrific events harming her life.
So it's just like Leprechaun.
Yeah.
I might check.
He calls it a must-read, so I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I'll check it. I thought it was about rabbits for some reason. I don't know why.
Hairball? You got rabbits from Hairball?
Yeah.
Come on.
Thinking of rabbit. An evil rabbit, maybe, or a superhero rabbit. I don't know.
Just going back to Where Monsters Lie, I mentioned this to you before, but this will be, I can't wait for the trade to come out. And I can't wait just to make this like a yearly read for me. It's like just good horror. I guess you could call it action at some points, but it's just going to be a lot of fun to revisit year after year, I think, for sure.
I am anxiously awaiting the announcement that's being turned into a TV series.
Yeah, that would be so much fun.
I think it's prime for one. It's got like perfect pacing. It's not complicated. Put it on screen.
That's another thing I thought about. Like it could have been a very complicated book because of the characters.
A lot of characters.
And they could have gone like really heavy on the backstory. like, oh, why are these people the way they are, and who are these people, and they did a little bit of that stuff, but they didn't dwell on it. They gave us what we wanted. Give us the
Carnage,
goods.
the
Yeah,
chaos.
exactly. Give us the carnage and the chaos.
There was a lot of chaos grenades.
For
Those are my
sure.
highlights for the read, though, for this week.
Yeah, that's all I read this week as well. And I just read Batman 135 yesterday, but I read Where Monsters Lie. Did you do any free comic book day stuff this year?
Yes, I did. But of course, whenever I have a physical copy of something, I never read it.
Yeah.
But I did get it. I got
Mhm.
Night Terrors, whatever this is. It sounds cool. I like the idea of Night Terror. I think it's supposed to be like a horror book. I don't know. I got this one. I
Yeah.
think you'll be interested in is the new Lemire book, Fish Flies.
Yeah, Fish Flies, yeah.
The cover looks like Sweet Tooth to me, so I'm in. He reminds me of Sweet Tooth.
How many pages is that one? Is that feel like a full comic, or is it just like a teaser, do you think?
No, this is a full comic.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who the artist is, but I really don't like the art very much.
Oh, that's Lemire's art, man.
Who's the art? It says Steve Wan's lettering and design.
Yeah, Lemire's art. That's Lemire.
Oh, this is Lemire art, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's his.
Well,
He wrote and drew that one for his Substack.
well, that's cool.
And I went. My shop was out of it when I got there, so I didn't get a hand of. I've already read that because it was on his Substack, but definitely going to try and pick up that book when it starts to come out regularly, which I think is soon. So
I really wanted the Spider-Man prequel book, but I couldn't get it. So I'll have to find that somewhere down the line.
I was just looking at the books from last week, and there's the Moon Knight 23, and it's Venom in Moon Knight. Do you know anything about this?
No, I haven't been reading it. Not because I don't want to. I just haven't had time to really read a lot. The free time I've had, I've spent watching things, or I've been addicted to chivalry too.
That's right. You said that. Yeah, right on the cover, there's Venom and Moon Knight fighting side by side. Just wondering if you got a chance to check that out.
No, but I will. I got to catch up with Mark and the boys.
Yeah, Mark and the boys.
I got to catch up with the boys.
Nice. All right, so that's pretty much what we read this week. What about watch? What'd you watch this week?
I watched the usual TV series. Succession is we've said it before. It's easily one of the best series ever put to television. It is fantastic. I watched that. Some great stuff in this last episode. Like really, really good stuff. I don't want to spoil anything, but Kendall is an amazing character.
He's so awkward in this episode,
He
he plays that awkward so well. Like nobody does awkward like Kendall Roy.
I'm really curious what Jeremy Strong is like as a person. I don't often care what actors are like, but him, I'm genuinely curious. I just want to know. I watched that. Ted Lasso was great again. For me, they haven't missed. But on the subject of Ted Lasso, a lot of friends have said they're not enjoying the season as much. And I've heard like a range of things. One thing was I was actually talking to our friend Lauren about it, and she actually isn't happy that the story feels so disconnected because there's a lot going on and not so much of a main story. I've had people tell me it's too serious this season, a bunch of stuff. And I get all the complaints and the concerns, but I wonder if, with this being last season, if they'll pull it together for everybody at the end. I hope they do. I think it's been very entertaining, but I'm curious what it's going to do for everybody else.
I see
big shoes, big.
I see the seriousness and the multi characters. Just more or less they're building on what's come before, where specifically like the members on the team. I'm thinking of Colin, getting more of the light shown on him in this season. Like before it was straight up Ted, Roy, the Diamond Dogs and Nate, but like in Rebecca and Keeley, but like I like that they're showing more interest in the players. Like we get the Sam stuff with his father in the restaurant. I like that aspect of it. And even the Trent Krim, he was a character in the show, but he was very one note in season 1 and 2. And now in season 3, he's got much more depth with the the book that he's writing, and his character and Colin interacting. I just feel like there's just more growth of this season. There's
It
more
feels like a
growth in
natural
this season than
progression.
in the past. Yeah, that's what it feels like to me, anyways.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of characters in the show. Like they're making like the players on the pitch, like the soccer team. They're very important characters. They're not just side characters or guys just playing soccer or whatever. So I just think they're just trying to give everyone get more people involved in the story and keep it growing that way.
This is an interesting one. Ian says he enjoys Ted Lasso, but it feels a bit messy. It lacks focus. Maybe I just want a bit more football. That's an interesting one because I think for like me, I don't know a lot about football. I played FIFA before. I actually played it as a kid, which was an interesting time. But I can't tell you anything about it. I don't remember it.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that maybe they keep the football aspect more to a minimum and focus on the character stuff just because it may go over the heads of a lot of people. Because I think in the first season, those of us who aren't familiar with the sport were learning with Ted.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, Ted stopped learning in a way. And he just accepted, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and the more sport aspect of something is something I wanted to see in season 2, which I think we got a lot of, and I think we got I like that the episodes are an hour long in this one because we do get the montages of either them winning or them losing, but I think it was 2 episodes ago where we get like the training, or maybe it was this one was the red string this past episode, or was the one before? So it was the one before. So like we're getting like the idea of them training and practicing, and we're starting to understand like there was basically a history lesson about the offense and defense that they were using. Cool. So yeah, so and that goes to what you were saying. Like they're teaching Americans and North America about the sport in that little history lesson that Coach Beard gives. So I like the idea, and I think for me the blending of sport and regular TV is pretty good in this season for me, anyways.
Cookie said this season of Ted Lasso has given me a lot of laughs. It feels lighter than last season. That's kind of how I've been feeling too. I love the Amsterdam episode. The Amsterdam episode is probably going to be when the show is over and we talk about favorite episodes. I think that one has to be in the conversation just because it has such a great blend of everything you love about Ted Lasso in one episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you get Beard in was it Piggy Stardust costume?
Yeah, the Ziggy Stardust, yeah.
I think I called him Piggy though or something. I forgot.
Mm.
Let's see. Ted Lasso was still enjoyable. I remember telling you guys last night. I forgot there was 12 episodes. I really thought there was 10. The way the season has been going, I like the extra episodes because I feel like there's more story.
Mm-hmm.
Eric agrees with Ian. He feels like we're seeing more of the off-field stuff. He does like the comedic and serious stuff. Emmet said to ignore these, but I'm not.
Screw him! I'm not.
I think it's good fun. Using total football is a bit of a silly idea for anyone who knows about football. I think the football element isn't important anymore. No, I think it's the relationship element.
Well, and that's the idea. The game isn't important. The game is a metaphor for these young guys' lives. Mm-hmm. Like as they're playing the game, whatever the total football thing, it's not working. The way they're trying to do it isn't working. It only works once Jamie realizes that he is the leader of this team, and Ted and Coach Beard and Roy are waiting for Jamie to be the leader of the team. That's why they don't give him, they give him the piece of paper and it's just got his name on it.
Yeah.
They're waiting for Jamie to take control and be the man and be the leader of this team. So you're right that the total football is a little bit silly, and it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what schemes or plays they have. It matters about confidence and about who you are as a person. And, that's the whole thing about the whole show is, winning at life, not winning at the game, right?
Yeah, just be a good person.
That's right.
Hey, Steve.
Hello,
He's
Steve.
Coming to us from Vancouver.
There you go.
Amsterdam episode is in the top 10 for Ted Lasso. Agreed. Zeta was amazing. Zava was amazing one week, then did nothing the next. Even Danny was amazing when he started, but does nothing on the pitch now. It's not consistent. Well said, Emmet. It wasn't like that in the first season, but I understand what they're going for now.
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of
The
stuff.
problem is that the show is so good and it's ending. It's like, and much like Where Monsters Lie #4, like everything that's great become before. You can't win at a certain point, and the stuff they try to do just doesn't hit with everyone when you try to do, different things or try and tell a different story. Because like there's so much stuff that they've told us is going to happen that hasn't happened yet either, like the Trent Krim stuff in the book. Like eventually that book's going to come out, and there's going to be some soliloquy that Trent Krim's going to say about Ted Lasso and the team and the young people.
I imagine that's going to be like a voiceover in the epilogue.
Exactly. And then eventually the stuff with Colin is going to come out. Eventually the stuff with, Rebecca Rupert. Eventually the stuff with Nate and Ted. Like eventually all this stuff is going to start really coming to a head pretty quickly. And like you said, we've only got a couple episodes left to do it.
It's going to be glorious, I hope. And I hope it hits for everybody.
I hope so too.
Then I also rewatched Renfield, because why not? That was fun. The second time was actually a little bit better for me because I missed stuff in the theater.
Okay.
There was a couple details I didn't catch because there were waiters going back and forth and all that.
You got one of those theaters, eh?
That's where the screening I went to was. It was in one of those theaters, and I really don't like sitting in those kind of theaters because there's always waiters. I had to share like a table with another random stranger next to me, which was odd. I didn't really like that, but it is what it is. So I enjoyed it more the second time, which was still a lot. I think it's just a really fun movie, and Nicolas Cage is the best.
A half hour of it the other night.
Oh, this sounds ominous.
I got to the point where Renfield gets home and Nicolas Cage's Dracula is sitting at the table.
I love that one.
In
the apartment.
Just like yeah, that's right. And I just stopped it right there. I think like whatever the goon squad went to their lair or whatever, and Dracula found out what Renfield was doing or something. I was surprised by it. Was the biggest thing. The violence, like over the top gore, which is like it's comedy gore, really. And I was surprised by the Ben Schwartz character and the whole idea of like the gang or whatever. I'm like, okay, I guess I was hoping for myself, and like I said, it's only a half hour, so I can't even say too much. But there was too much Ben Schwartz and not enough Nicolas Cage for me.
It gets pretty evened out as the movie goes on.
Okay, so I'll wait. I like whether they're practical effects or the makeup on Dracula after you see him for that first time after getting burnt to
and his face,
whatever. It's like he's like his ears falling off and like you can see inside his body. I'm like, oh, this is pretty great stuff. And even the next time you see him and stuff like that. And I agree with you. Like I think you told me a while ago, like the black and white stuff from the 31 Dracula, how they mix that in. I really like that stuff. Like. I want to see a serious movie of this.
That was my big takeaway after rewatching it last night. I want another Nicolas Cage Dracula movie, but I want it set between what they're considering the original and this. Right. I want to see them during their good times.
Right.
I really want to see what that's like because there's a point, well, it's sport, never mind. But I would just like to see that. I think that'd be really fun. And Nicolas Cage's Dracula is just flawless.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and like I like the way he looks, and I like the early on with the Nicholas Hoult and like the meetings that he goes to.
Yeah.
But like early on, the Ben Schwartz stuff and the Awkwafina stuff in the first half hour or whatever that I watched, that's not what I was there for, not what I was expecting. So we'll see what it's like going forward, but.
I think that the trailers make you think it's more Renfield and Dracula when it's not. Right. It's actually more about Awkwafina's character and Renfield. Nicolas Cage is definitely supporting, but he's pretty amazing. He gets some great stuff to do. There's another scene between him and Ben Schwartz character that happens after what you see, and it's pretty spectacular.
So yeah, I'll give it another shot. Just keep going. it's pretty wild that the movie even exists, and like the jokes about Nicolas Cage as a vampire and Dracula and all that kind of stuff. So I look forward to keep watching, and like I like it's only like I think it's like a 93-minute movie or something.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half.
So kind of cool to not be too invested in it, but my early thoughts just more Nicolas Cage as Dracula. That sounds good to me.
Yes, I'm in for that. Did you get to Peter Pan and Wendy at all over the last 2 weeks?
No.
Okay, I haven't either, but I want to. It's on my list. I think that I would really enjoy it. I've seen some good reviews for it, some bad reviews, but it feels like it's something up my alley.
Right.
Nick Cage's Dracula spectacular. Agreed. He's outstanding. Star Wars Visions was last week's greatest television. So good. I can't get into that series. I've tried. I don't think it's for me. Phil watched Peter and Wendy. It was fine. Jude Law is the best part. Doesn't hold the candle to the animated classic. Cage is fantastic. I agree.
Very good.
Set somewhere between Dracula 31 and Vampire's Kiss. That I don't know if I need, but I'll watch it.
What's Vampire's Kiss?
That's the Nicolas Cage vampire, the first Nicolas Cage vampire movie where he thinks
right.
he's a vampire. It's where the GIF I use comes from.
Right. Yeah.
It's from Vampire's Kiss. Needed more of his Dracula. Yeah, I really want some kind of sequel. Unfortunately, I think because of the box office, this is probably the last we see of him. Unless it has a huge resurgence at home, and it might. I'm going to do my best.
I'm going to watch it every week.
The 4K will be on order as soon as it's up, which I don't think it is yet. So I rewatched that. And then as far as a new thing, I watched Dungeons and Dragons movie, which I thought was so much fun. I knew I was going to like it anyway, based on the trailers. It looked like my kind of thing. It kind of, but watching it's kind of like Princess Bride and Lord of the Rings combined, which works really well.
Yeah, that's an interesting mix.
That's kind of the way I would describe it. It's like you mix those two, and that's what you got. It's very fun. I like the story of it. The characters are cool. The effects are nice. They're not anything like mind blowing, but they work for what they are. But more so, the characters have like a realistic quality to them, which you don't really expect when you watch the trailer.
Is this like a Jumanji type deal where they get into the game?
No, this is it's happening in medieval times, or a type of medieval time.
Okay. So it has really nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons, the game?
From what I understand, there's a lot of like lore built into it.
Or it's just a movie based off the game. Like
right.
Okay, I got it.
Right. It's a different beast than I think the other, because I didn't know there was 3 other Dungeons and Dragons movies. Yeah, I know it. I think there was one of Marlon Wayne's. I think.
I don't know.
They've all bombed. So this one was really entertaining. I think Chris Pine helps a lot. But Michelle Rodriguez, who I don't normally think is, I don't say she's bad, but she's not like something. Anyway, she's pretty good in this.
Okay.
I would say this is probably the best thing I've seen her in. So yeah, I highly recommend Dungeons and Dragons, especially if you like Lord of the Rings or Princess Bride. It's combined. Check it out.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check that out. I was going to put it on this weekend and didn't get a chance, so I'll make sure I put it on. Good action always does good. Good family fun action always does good in our house.
It's also surprisingly family friendly, which I did not expect.
Well, I did. I expected that. Just Chris Pine's in it. Dungeons and Dragons, a game. So I guess I kind of figured that. But
I mean, Last of Us is a game.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
It's not.
Good family fun.
Family together, gather around the TV and watch.
Good family fun.
Yeah, I mean, it could be though, depending on your family. Cookie says, I watched the Artifice Girl, good movie, 90 minutes of people talking. Emmet would like it, I think.
Oh, I do love people talking. I never heard of it though.
I hadn't heard of it either until I saw her tweet about it. But it sounds kind of interesting.
I will add it to the list, Cookie.
You may like it.
I will.
Steve says D&D looks like that similarities to late 80s Saturday morning cartoon. I didn't know there was a cartoon.
Did not know that either.
Was it a long-running cartoon, Steve, or like a short one? Some of those 80s cartoons I feel like had like a burst of episodes, then we never hear from me. Like Brave Star, which is a cartoon I remember nobody else seems to. because it was really short lived, and they were like, "Well, what the hell is that?" It's awesome. That's what it is. And Eric asked us something too. I wanted to bring up real quick before we get to your watches. Who else has seen the Dune trailer?
Ooh.
Stellar. Absolutely stellar.
The trailer just like consumes you. It's like it's just like the world, like Arrakis, and like the music. It's just an overly consuming trailer, and it's only a freaking trailer. Like, holy cow!
It's beautiful. And the character shots feel like we get that glimpse of Austin Butler. He looks.
Yeah, I didn't understand that with the black and the white. I'm like, what is this? Got like reminding me of like Ragnarok with like Christian Bale in the black and white. I'm like, this is like,
don't
like I hadn't seen it before. I haven't seen Ragnarok or Love and Thunder. Sorry. So I had no idea what it was, but I'm like, oh, it's the black and the white and the bald. I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here?
The black and the white and the bald.
Yeah.
I think whenever we talk about Dune 2, that's going to be the episode title. The one about the black, the white, and the bald.
The black, the white, and the bald.
We need to bookmark that one. Just schedule it. I can't wait for Dune. Dune looks amazing. Cinema. Beautiful cinema. That is correct, boys. Steve said the Dungeon Dragon cartoon was a couple of seasons.
Okay.
I might check that out because I'm kind of interested now. Also, I really just want to play Dungeons and Dragons after watching the movie. And there's a podcast I like called Critically Stupid, where they play Dungeons and Dragons, and they have a video version and an audio one. It's really fun. So it makes me think, hey, I want to do that.
Do it. You have time.
Or maybe we can do like a community Dungeons and Dragons game if anybody's up for it. See how it goes. What'd you watch this week?
So I watched all the regulars. I didn't watch anything else this week. I spent most of my free watching time playing Jedi Survivor. So I want to say I'm 12 hours into it, maybe. Like the biggest thing for me is the stuff that we complained about or had nitpicks about with Fallen Order. The backtracking, the traversal, the map for me, and some of the combat. And it's all fixed, basically. The backtracking is still there, but there's fast travel now. You can fast travel from meditation point to meditation point, which makes it so much easier. But I'm having a ton of fun playing the game. Like, there are so many ways to get around. You get a zip line. You can get different kind of boosts, like all the different stances, they're called, with different lightsabers that you can use. The customization is quite incredible. I've actually seen some of the pictures online of what Cal can look like. Like, he can have like a mullet.
Yeah, that's what
the mullet and the handlebar mustache. It's like, what's going on here? But just the customization is really good, and the story is really picking up for me. The first, I don't know, I want to say 2 or 3 hours, maybe 5 hours or so. The story's pretty slow, and I'm wondering where it was going. But one of the things that I've been really wanting from Star Wars is more history about the world, more history about the Jedi, more history about anything. That was one of the things I liked about Mandalorian Season 3 was about the history of the Mandalore. So a lot of history about the Jedi in Jedi Survivor. You actually spend a lot of time on Jeddah, which we saw in Rogue One. Get to learn more about the Jedi Order from centuries ago. And all that kind of stuff. So it's very good. I'm having a great time playing it. And afterwards, I remember when I was finished the story of Fallen Order, I didn't have the best time getting all the collectibles at the end, because it was just so annoying to get around, and the map was just not a lot of fun. But I can see after I finished the story in this one, getting all the collectibles in Jedi Survivor, because it's so much easier to get around and all that kind of stuff. Yep. The stance, I use the regular, just single lightsaber, and then I do the dual wield lightsaber as well. I like the fast ones over the stronger, slower ones that you can use. I also like the Darth Maul lightsaber as well.
I don't know what the proper term for that is. Double edge.
I can't remember what it's called. There's dual wield, there's single, there's one called Crucifix or something, or the one with
that's the Kylo Ren one.
Yeah, it's like that, but it's really big and long, so it's like a heavy sword. And there's one with a pistol as well you can do a kind of a combo type of deal with a pistol and a lightsaber at the
That's
same time.
the way Devil May Cry works with the.
Yeah, so I use the dual lightsabers and the singles most of the time.
Cool.
Yep. So a great time with Jedi Survivor. I'm very happy because I was quite worried with all the glitches and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Games only crashed once on me, but not at a very important time, so that's good. There's still a ton of pop-in, like non-stop pop-in. It was funny. I was playing a scene today where a whole bunch of characters were on screen, and there's a shot was right at Cal's face, and you could see a character behind him. And then it switched to the group, and that character that was behind Cal was in the group. And then it switched back to Cal's face, and that character was behind him again, and then it switched back. So there's still a bunch of clunky technical issues like that, a lot of visual issues like that. But the game's been playing great for me. And aside from those little issues, the game looks great. So I'm having a ton of fun with Jedi Survivor.
Did you give Cal the mullet?
No, he's pretty simple. He's got the little longer beard, crew cut. No, I don't think I have the mullet yet. Actually, I don't think I do.
That's going to be my goal as soon as I start.
I've got the soul patch. I've got just the goatee. No facial hair at all. Long hair and short hair, but nothing. I don't have the trucker look yet. Like Cal's going to crush some beers after work or whatever.
The Alabama Jedi. I like it.
Yeah, that's right. I like that.
Yeah, I'll get to it eventually. I just haven't really had time. And like I said, the free time I've had, I've spent watching Renfield.
Yeah, well, that's There's so much right now for sure.
Oh, here you go, Emmet. The mullet is an earliest game find behind a rock in an oil pit. That sounds
fitting. Very fitting. Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I don't think I really watched anything else other than the usuals. Barry's still cooking along. I think that was it. A lot of hockey, but it looks like the hockey's going to be over within a couple of days, so then I'll have more time to watch some things too. So
cool.
Yeah, so that's what we watched and what we read this week, guys. So last night at Backlash, do your thing, Chris. Okay. Put that in there. Last night, you, I, and Zeddy got together, and we were talking about some things. We were talking about The Flash. We were talking about all of the things upcoming. We were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. We were talking about Top Gun Maverick from the year before, and how Top Gun Maverick played at CinemaCon. And as Zeddy likes to say, they rode the hype from CinemaCon all the way to $1 billion at the box office or whatever. And in the sense that what was expected from The Flash as well. Played at CinemaCon, and we were expecting it was going to ride its hype level, which people were calling it the best superhero of all time, superhero movie of all time, and blah, 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 blah. But it hasn't happened for The Flash in my sense. I haven't seen, we saw the instant reactions from The Flash from CinemaCon, which were good. But it didn't go any further than that. It felt like there was maybe 2 days of Flash talk, and then that was it. And now there's the movie comes out in just over a month. We were talking that we expect that tickets to go on sale within the next couple of weeks or what have you. So the thought that I had about this hype level for movies, and even the Dune 2 trailer. We're excited about it. We love it, but there's always something else that's right afterwards to take up, that space in your head. So this early level of hype, is it a thing anymore? Because there's just so much. We Succession's on right after Barry's on, so we're your mind's taken up with both, and then we're watching Ted Lasso. You want to rewatch Renfield for a second time. That's fine. So then you miss something else. I've been playing Jedi Survivor, so I'm missing a whole bunch of watching things, and I'm trying to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs, so then I'm missing some other things to watch. So this idea about hype for something and having it carry on for such a long time, I feel like is over. I don't think it can exist anymore, just because there's so much that the studios that they're giving us that we don't have a long enough time to be excited. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out officially or it came out officially this weekend.
It's out.
I don't even know when it came out, because I guess there were screenings a week ago or whatever.
Yeah, the screenings out last week.
Yeah. So I'm wondering about the legs, even legs for box office now. So hype for movies or TV shows that have yet to come out, and then box office and viewership numbers for movies and TV shows that do come out, because within the next week there's going to be something else to talk about. There's going to be something else to take up your time. So, we love things, Chris. We love all the things. We love all the content. But do you see this as an issue just for you personally? For me, it's a huge issue. All of the things to watch, because I can't find the time to watch things. And there are times when I don't want to watch things. There are times when I just want to put on the Cartoon Network and watch the Superman animated series instead of watching something brand new. So what's your thought on there being too much, and whether or not that, is hype a thing, and will hype, in this year specifically, will there be such thing as hype where it carries onwards, because there's, so much coming that can just, chop the legs off of the hype? What do you think?
Well, I think that we all individually have stuff that we're more excited for than other things. Like, for me, when I think of what I'm hyped for this year, it'd be The Flash, Dune 2. And I would say those are probably the two big things for me. Everything else is more or less a bonus. I think that would be my rundown. But yes, there's a lot. But I also think we have a lot right now because of what the past couple of years have been. 2023 had just become like the dump, if you will, because stuff that was sitting on a shelf in 2020 and 2021, or they couldn't make it, during those times due to this or that or a COVID restriction. Now we have it, and there's just not enough room in a calendar year to stick everything. So that's why we're having this kind of, oh, you like this? Well, guess what? Look at this kind of situation where nothing has been given a chance to breathe. Even in those earlier, the release we saw earlier in this year, like even a Dungeons and Dragons, you didn't have a lot of time to sit with it because there was something directly after and directly before. And the movies that have made money have really just done well in that first weekend, like Scream. Scream did fantastic. Super Mario Brothers is an anomaly because who expected that? I think I read earlier, it just crossed $1 billion worldwide.
Yep.
Which is pretty impressive, but it's also animated. It's an hour and a half. You can't. I mean, that's what people are looking for, I believe, when it comes
for sure
to entertainment. So you got that. But for me, like I said, I have the two main things as far as movies go, and everything else, I'll see when it comes out. I do think there is a lot, though. It's hard to keep up with, and stuff that I would normally be all over, I'm not getting to immediately. Like Silo, Ian mentioned that earlier in the comments. I really want to watch that. I haven't made time for it. Citadel, I've watched 2 episodes. I really liked it. Instead of watching the third one, I watched Superman and Lois, and I watched Renfield.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, what's important to me right now, and then what will I get to later? And that list is just growing.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is, like you said that about Silo. I framed it as something that I can't keep up on the things that I know that I will like, but not being able to keep up with the things that I want to give a chance to.
Right.
Like a Silo, or like Cookie mentioned that thing that I should watch, the
Artifice Girl.
The Artifice. Like there won't be enough time, or I'm going to have to try and find more time and set aside to try and take chances on things because of the big popular things, or the things that I overtly care about are also there. So yeah, I'm having a hard time, and that's the same with comic books as well.
Yeah,
like I feel like I've had to drop 2 main things, Batman and Detective Comics, to try and keep up on the indie comics and the smaller stuff that I want to try and read. And it doesn't, it helps that I haven't been enjoying Batman and Detective Comics, but in a general sense, if there wasn't some other stuff, I would have kept going with Batman and Detective Comics too. So even trying to find stuff to experiment, or go outside of my comfort zone, I haven't been able to find. And that's usually where you find some hidden gems too. I had some time before, and I said, oh, I'll watch The Bear. There was nothing else, nothing else was coming at that time, and it turned out that it was incredible. And at the time it came out, I didn't have a chance to watch it. So Ian makes that comment. We'll get to it in a second.
Yeah,
But there's also the
this.
idea about when to watch things as well.
Eric says, yeah, I feel we're given so little time to digest and breathe. You almost have to pick and choose at this point. Yeah, you just kind of, do I have time for this? Do I want to spend the time for this? I agree with that. Ian's comment, though, says, I think things come out at a good rate. Maybe the problem is that we rush to see things as they come out so we can talk about them. Over the last few weeks, I haven't felt pressed to watch stuff. This is a really good comment for a lot of reasons. Because I think a lot of people, especially in the podcast space and stuff like that, you do rush to watch something just because you want to be able to talk about it on your show or whatever, or even if you just want to talk about it with your friends. So you rush to watch something even if you're not into it. And I think I think that you and I sometimes do that, but generally, if I don't want to watch something, I'm not going to. For me, the problem is just making time for all the stuff I want to watch because I have such a broad range of interests.
Sure.
But I think that's definitely a thing, and Steve followed it up too, saying it's the FOMO, and that's a good point too. A lot of people, it's the fear of missing out, or I'm not interested in this thing, but I also don't want to be spoiled, so I might as well watch it.
The spoilers are always a thing for sure.
That's the thing too. Yeah, the spoilers, and also that FOMO. Like I want to be able to talk about it. Steve also adds, for some reason we've come to almost feel obligated to watch everything. I've slowed down on everything, and I'm enjoying everything a lot more. So he's completely with Ian. What's your take?
So yeah, well, I agree with all that stuff. But what do you think about the idea of it hurting, studios in that aspect of, because the hype isn't, you're not getting. You mentioned it like that. The first weekend has to be big, or you can't carry on. But what about stuff that hasn't come out yet? What do you think about the idea of this Flash thing? And I tried to think back to the Top Gun Maverick thing. I don't recall this long buildup from CinemaCon to its release. I don't know what was happening at the time, but it wasn't something that you and I were talking about specifically. But what do you think about that idea of a hype, hype level being cut off at the knees because of what's next and what's next and what's next? Do you think that's a thing?
I do. I think that's a very big thing. Because Flash is a great example. A lot of people we know, including us, we want to see the Flash, but after that first weekend, are we going to go back to see it? Are we going to still be talking about it? What's going to happen? Or even, I'm really excited for Fast X. Yeah. After that first weekend, though, I know nobody's going to be talking about it. It's going to come and go. Whereas if it had, 2 weeks to itself, we'd probably still be talking about it. It'd be something. But I think that these going into the summer now, where there are so many things coming out rapidly, it's going to be hard to keep up, and it's going to be harder for the studios to get what they need out of these films. But there was just nothing to do about it.
Yeah, well, I think, let's get some more comments there.
Frank says, I've noticed some podcasts are jaded because they have to watch something, kind of beats the purpose of an event listening to a podcast. That's true, too. I think we both noticed that as well. They treat it like a job, and they got to, okay, I have to watch this for the show. I don't want to, but I'm going to do it.
That's right, yeah.
And also their enjoyment doesn't hit the same if they do like it, if they don't.
Yeah, well, I've had that case with the Marvel stuff for a long time. I was in that camp for a long time where I felt like I needed to watch the Marvel stuff to be in the conversation. And at a point, it just wasn't enjoyable for me. I don't enjoy the MCU Marvel movies. And even with the shows like She-Hulk, like, oh, I want to keep watching She-Hulk because we're talking about She-Hulk. My friends are talking about She-Hulk. I want to listen to my friends talk about She-Hulk. But at a certain point, I'm like, this is not enjoyable to me. I can't keep doing this for myself. Why watch something I don't enjoy because I want to be, in the know or whatever. So it's definitely a mindset thing for the viewer. Absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, though, and this goes for anything, just watch what you want to watch whenever you can watch it. I think that's the thing. We can't always, of course, it's cool to be able to watch something and talk with your friends about it, but not everybody's going to have the same schedule. So you just got to watch it when you can and enjoy what you enjoy.
100%.
And if you're a victim of hype, that's fine too.
Yep.
Do what you want to do.
It's fun to get excited about things, though, like that Dune 2 trailer. Like it just that tickles you. It's like, I'm not going to get excited. I'm not going to get excited. The movie's still months and months away. Like, oh, that fucking trailer is so good.
Yeah,
it's
It's Flash and Doom for me. That's the big things of the year.
Yeah.
I would count Voyage of the Demeter, but I don't know. I don't know if that's. It's been in production for so long. I'm kind of worried it won't be anything to talk about, really. But the trailer looks cool.
100%.
The minutes, Phil says, the minute something loses enjoyment, then it gets the cut in my book. Enjoy for you and you alone. Exactly. I'll get to it when I get to it. That's, yeah, I think I have a lot of that.
Yeah, did he put those in quotations for you, Chris? Is that?
Oh, he may have.
Yeah,
because I know I've told him that before.
Yeah, exactly. Did he copy and paste that from a DM?
Yeah. Steve says Grabs brought up a similar question a few weeks about comics. How books are the biggest thing. Nice house on the lake. Somebody's killing children, but it just doesn't last because there's so much content. Yeah, that's the thing. That there's always something, you know.
Yep. Well, we talked about that when we were talking about World Tree '1 and how
Yeah.
I was bracing myself. Okay, it's the first issue. It's very good, but let's see where it goes from here. Don't get too ahead of myself.
I'm very ahead of myself. I'm all in. Cookie says, agree, Phil. I'll drop something so fast if it's not for me. I should have done that with Mayfair Witches, but I kept watching it.
Yeah. Well, you were hoping for that interview with the vampire crossover.
Oh, yeah. They got it all right. Frank says, comics are my number one choice of hobby entertainment. It's the only media thing I buy. Yeah, that's cool. I think comics are, it's a great thing, and there's so many of them, especially when you start getting to those indie titles which we've talked about before.
Yep.
Even then, though, there's always something to read. Like I opened the DC Infinite app, and I'm just overwhelmed. Everyone's got the chop. I want spoiler reviews instead. I'm going to do that for the next season.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's next season for me. Season 2.
Got the chop.
Yep. I think that's a good way to put it.
All right, guys. So that's our thoughts on how hype can hurt, and if it's too early, how it can definitely hurt things.
Those are cool. I remember to do them.
Yeah, that was good because I gave you the weight too, just to see. And
yeah, I like the pause. I appreciate it.
Take a breath. That's right. All right. So what do you got going on this week, Chris? Anything you're excited for, or anything you want to get to?
Off the top of my head, we got Succession, we got Barry, another wonderful episode of Superman and Lois, I'm sure, Ted Lasso. Isn't Fast X this week?
I keep seeing the trailers for it, so I
think
assume
it's
that
this
it
week.
is.
I'm not sure, but that if it's this week, if not, I'll find something else to watch. I'm sure.
Are you gonna wait? You think you're too late on Guardians now? You're gonna have to wait on it.
No, I'm gonna get to it tomorrow or Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And I want to get to Silo this week. I'm really excited about Silo. That's about it. How about you?
I'm not sure. Still gonna need to try and finish Dead Ringers and then Sweet Tooth.
Gotcha.
We'll see. I don't know. Yeah.
I do think the good stuff will come back around in a couple of years and be thought of very positively and universally loved. Everything now is in the moment. That's true too. Reading Ian's comment, at first I thought he meant Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think he means this.
Yeah, he means us.
Yeah. You guys.
All right, Chris, that's going to do it for tonight. Where can people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter if that's your thing, at thatchris70. I also have a podcast that I do with my buddies Phil Walsh and Anthony Caruso called DC Unlimited Pod on Twitter. We talk all things DC. It's pretty fun. You could also follow this show, which I would love it if you did, at G of the Geeks on Twitter. Emmet is much better with all the other stuff, so he'll take it.
You can follow me on Twitter at EmmettDavis7. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. Thanks to Eric, Zeddy, Ian, Cookie, Steve, Frank, Travis, Phil, Lauren for jumping in. Frank, yes. Thanks so much for watching on this fine Sunday evening. And we'll catch you next time, guys. So in saying all that, for Chris and I'm Emmet, and we gather on Sundays.
Have a good week, guys.